The South African Weather Service, the SAWS, has issued a level 8 warning for disruptive rain over Cape Town, Drakensberg and Stellenbosch. The situation is critical and residents are urged to take precautions. The city of Cape Town has been struggling with the impacts of severe weather since Sunday, and the SAWS predicts 24-hour rainfall accumulations of 40 to 60 millimeters, with up to 80 to 100 millimeters in mountainous areas. There has been widespread damage to houses and infrastructure. Nearly 1,000 homes in informal settlements in Cape Town, South Africa, have been destroyed by gale-force winds, displacing around 4,000 people. Approximately 11,000 households are without power across the Western Cape due to the damaging rains and winds. The mayoral committee member for safety and security, JP Smith, has said all indications are that worse is still to come before there is any respite. South African weather authorities said on Monday that Cape Town and the surrounding areas are expected to be hit by multiple cold fronts until at least Friday, bringing torrential rain, strong winds, flooding, and possible mudslides. Disaster management teams are on high alert, responding to weather-related incidents. Some communities are cut off due to the severe weather conditions. Residents have been advised to heed the evacuation calls and to avoid closed roads, avoid all unnecessary travel, and to remain indoors wherever possible. From Durban, South Africa, I'm Alyson Grange for Firstpost.
There was like this lull in the air, almost like the calm before the storm. It went really quiet, and then all of a sudden it just felt like this. And then I looked up and there was no roof. So it was hectic.
So I just feel this strong wind. That wind was very strong. That wind was very strong, but I'm telling you, I never saw something like that in my life. It's very, very strong. And they just take the roof and everything.
Now we have with us Lehlolonolo Tobela, who is a meteorologist from South African Weather Service, who is joining us live from Pretoria. Thank you for being with us today.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Now, can you take us through the latest situation with regards to the severe weather that is affecting Cape Town and the surrounding areas?
Yes, we've had several number of cold fronts that have made landfall over the southwestern parts of the country. This resulted in much more of the disruptive rain over the western parts of the Western Cape province, especially the city of Cape Town municipality, the Overberg and Drakensberg, and areas just mainly along the west coast of the province. These warnings then that were issued, it got up to about an orange level 8, which is quite severe in terms of the disruptions. We also had damaging winds and waves that were strong, and about mostly around areas in Cape Point would also record any amount of 100 to about 130 kilometers per hour of the winds that were recorded last night around the west coast. Much more of these winds were also disruptive over the central parts, and a number of communities were affected with much more of the communities and people being displaced and moved from where the situation was. As you'd see, then different houses were impacted, and you had different impacts in terms of the roads. Roofs were blown off with the windy conditions, as well as so much more of the water that was seen moving over areas, and flooding conditions getting to more and more disruptions in traffic, and as well as much more of the roofs impacted through this heavy rains and storms and storm surge warnings, especially along the coastal areas. So yeah, we're seeing much more of these rain patterns happening as more of the cold fronts expected to make landfall over the southwestern parts. However, the central and the eastern areas of the country are still remaining fine and cold. Colder conditions were seen earlier in the week, especially over the northeastern provinces, which would cover Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and Limpopo. But now they've seen a pickup in temperatures, both in minimums and maximum temperatures. But I think the great adverse of the weather conditions that are quite severe in terms of the intensity has been over the Western Cape province, as well as parts of the Eastern Cape, especially the western half, which was also impacted by the strong winds in most parts of the provinces.
Right. And can you explain to us just how severe this level 8 warning is, and how long is this warning likely to remain in place, and what do you advise for the residents?
The warning is up until today for as much as we know right now, but much more of the showers and rain are still yet to come. And with any amount of rainfall that lands over the surface of the parts of the Western Cape province would then contribute in the accumulation of the water. Some of the water millimeters and water depth that was measured got about to 200 millimeters in 48 hours over most areas of the Western Cape, especially the central and the western parts of the province. We also see much more of the strong winds that
Yes.
was noticed over the central parts of the Western Cape province. Some was peaking of about, I think, 90 to 8 or 80 to 90 kilometers per hour with the windy conditions, which caused disruptions. So what I would give as an advice is to make sure that firstly, you
Right.
watch much more of the media, sent out warnings that we send out as South African Weather Service. Should you be in the South African context, you make sure that you are aware of the warnings that are to be sent out, whether it's a yellow level, orange, or red. Take it as serious as we send it out to the public. We have at South Africa Weather Service on Twitter as well as Facebook. We have that, and we also have our website www.weathersa.co.za. And parts of most of our weather is also sent to
Right.
the South African Broadcasting. Much more of the media outlets would be newspapers, and everyone should just really focus on the communication. And should you find a warning, adhere to it and focus on what disaster management advises you to do.
Yes.
But if you're driving, take obviously precautionary measures. Make sure to leave safe distance when you're driving, especially in rainy conditions. Don't try to drive into rivers that you don't not aware of the water depth. If you see that you can't use your car or you can't see and the visibility is reduced, make sure to have more of the safety procedures that you would take. That would
Yes.
then result in don't drive into flooded or roads, because you never know
Right.
where sinkhole.
Absolutely. And Lekgolonolo, what are the rescue and relief efforts that are currently underway in Cape Town? And how can weather models help to predict and prepare for severe storms like this?
I think in terms of the disaster, they would be better to know what the situation is and how they are managing the situation. In terms of the forecasting perspective, we have used much more of the severe, or rather, I'd say the models that we used assisted in us making sure that we send out the warnings prior to every condition that happened. No warning was missed. With everything that's happening based on the models that was suggesting the weather forecasting part, it also actually assisted in us sending out warnings early and making sure that the disaster management was aware of what is to happen due to the number of cold fronts that made landfall over the southwestern interior and parts of the Western Cape province. But then the weather models are quite good and doing a great job in helping us forecast for the coming days. And with every forecast that we've issued, especially about these cold fronts and parts of the rainfall distribution, it has all amounted to actually the what was materialized as what was seen in the Western Cape province. Nothing caught us off guard, and with it happening,
Absolutely.
it has actually assisted in issuing warnings in time. And it's just in on the disaster management side to
Yes.
also assist them in knowing how to manage and plan for the rescue teams.
Yes. Absolutely. Lekgolonolo, thank you very much for being with us on the latest coming out of Cape Town.
No, thank you for having me. Have a blessed one.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree. One tree for humanity. One tree for Mother Earth. One tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment. So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished. On the show today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can you expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alyson, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
We'll start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost.